was an assembly member and senator.
I know, we miss her on the California Transportation Commission.
I'm sure you do. She
Yeah.
was excellent.
Yeah, but your new appointee is fantastic. We love working with her. So thank you. We are now streaming live on Facebook. I want to welcome all of you to our Bloom Energy Empowered Communities Employee Town Hall as we support and celebrate Pride Month here in the month of June, something we should be supporting and celebrating every month throughout the calendar year. And it is a delight to greet all of you as Bloom Energy colleagues and our two incredibly special guests. The president, the Senate president here in California, Pro Tem Toni Atkins from San Diego, and from our Bloom Energy team, executive member Cleber Angelo, who hails from the great city of Houston, where I will be flying into tonight and hope to see Cleber in person tomorrow. We are delighted each of you have joined us. We want to make great use of the 40 minutes that we have for our Empowered Communities Employee Town Hall today. I'm going to ask my colleague Manal Shafi to introduce our special guest, the President of the California State Senate, President Pro Tem Toni Atkins. Manal?
Thank you, Carl, and it is my honor to introduce California Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins. Before her career in public service, she served as Director of Clinic Services at Women Care Health Center in San Diego. In the year 2000, she was elected to San Diego City Council, where she served for 8 years and provided leadership as interim mayor of San Diego amidst a tumultuous time at City Hall. In 2010, Pro Tem Atkins was elected to California State Assembly, and in 2014, her colleagues selected her to be the Speaker of the Assembly. She was the first San Diegan and first lesbian to hold the position. In 2016, she was elected to represent the 39th district in the state Senate. After just 1 year in the Senate, she was elected by her colleagues to be the next Senate President Pro Tem, becoming the first woman and first openly LGBTQ person to hold the legislature's upper house. Pro Tem Atkins has been a champion for affordable housing, the natural environment, healthcare, veterans, women, and the LGBTQ community throughout her career. She currently lives in the South Park community of San Diego with her spouse, Jennifer, and their dog, Joey. And without further ado, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins.
Manal, thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be with you. Happy Pride, and I love the Empowered Communities welcome. That was great, Carl. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Atkins. It's a delight to have you with us. Cleber, I know that you were just speaking at a major conference in Houston, but we're so excited in participating in this that you ran across the hall, found a Bloom Energy backdrop, and are with us for this as well. So thank you, my friend. Truly appreciate it.
Thank you, Carl, for having me. So it's an honor to be here with the Senator, with you, to have this conversation celebrating the Pride Month. So thank you.
Thank you. And we're going to jump right in and reminding our Bloom Energy colleagues, we try to break our Empowered Communities Employee Town Halls into 3 distinct segments. The first, I get to ask 2 incredibly smart, articulate people 4 or 5 questions. And we will rotate back and forth so that no one feels picked on that they always had to go first. Second is what we lovingly call our lightning round, 7 or 8 quick questions, 1 word to 1 sentence responses, no run-on sentences, but it allows people to get to know you as 3-dimensional people, as we all are. And then the third, my favorite part, we open up the chat box, I open up my text for people who are sending in questions. We'll get to as many of those as we can before 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. With that, let me start with segment 1, and we're going to direct this question first to Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins and then to our own Cleber Angelo. In June, we celebrate Pride Month to recognize the achievements of our LGBTQ plus community and honor the great diversity of the American people. In your opinion, How can employers best support their LGBTQ employees and community members, not just in June, but throughout the year? And again, we'll start with Pro Tem Atkins.
Well, Carl, thank you for that question. Again, let me say happy Pride Month. And I'm so thrilled I get to join you all today. Well, I think in answer to your question, you're doing it. First and foremost, you're promoting Pride Month. This effort alone really speaks volumes, I think, to the support that you give the LGBT plus community and employees. And especially now, I'm just going to say, when what we see going on all across the country is a backlash and really targeted attacks against members of our community, in particular the trans community. For years, we in the community have tried to give safe space to young kids as they're trying to tell us who they are from the youngest ages. And they've started to tell us. And some of them tell us that, you know, their gender at birth is not who they know themselves to be. So the support for the trans community right now is critical. Beyond that, so being visible and vocal and supportive of employees. Beyond that, I say it's just the basic thing that anyone would want in a workplace. Decent benefits, wages, employee-friendly environment, the ability to have a work-life, family life balance. And you know, because it's Bloom Energy, I'm going to say progressive goals that help on climate, because we know again and again that climate has become the most important issue in the minds of many, behind critical things like right now inflation and gas prices. That's a whole different conversation, but you're doing it, and I implore you to continue to do things like this.
Great counsel. Thank you, Senator Atkins. Cleber, your perspective.
Yeah, no, I agree with the senator. I think the importance of having actually this conversation here today is a proof of the support of the organization about the diversity that we have at the Bloom Energy. And I think, you know, fostering the culture of acceptance, the inclusion, the culture that everybody can speak up, everybody can be themselves for what they are, it's very important. And I think companies with the diversity, equity policy that also help to educate, right, its employees about the diversity. So those are the things I think companies can do very easily to help to foster more understanding and more acceptance across the organization.
Cleber, thank you. It reminds me, our amazing Chief People Officer, Sonia Wilkerson, often reminds me, it's not solely diversity and equity. It has to be an inclusive culture as well. So thank you for underscoring that. Cleber, keep those vocal cords warm, because I'm coming back to you to start question 2. With increased occurrences of wildfires, going to Senate Pro Tem Atkins' comments about climate, here in California, wildfires, rising sea level, extreme weather events. The climate crisis is one of the most pressing issues of our time for our entire planet. Now, obviously, it's not something that can single-handedly be addressed by one person, one great company like Bloom, or even one's individual state government, even when it's the 5th largest economy in the world. How can we take a collaborative approach to mitigating the effects of climate change? Cleber, we're going to start with you and then go to the Senate President.
Thank you, Carl. Yeah, that is a urgent and pressing issue, right, that we're facing. So the problems that you highlighted there in that question, Carl, is serious. I live in a city that every year we have this massive flooding here. In California, we have these fires, right? So it's something that is getting close to home more and more, and it's affecting everybody across the planet. So I believe we need strong policies, because there are so many technologies available today that if we have early adoption of those technologies, for example, hydrogen. I was speaking here in a conference about hydrogen and how hydrogen can unlock, right, zero emission, like clean power with zero emissions. So if you have policies that would help companies to really justify the return of investments of those large projects, right? And then that would create the virtual cycle where we get more demand for products, that innovative products can reduce the carbon emissions, so then we can lower those costs of those products. But we need a policy that would help us to really lower, help with the adoption, I would say, help to adopt those new technologies that they exist. So I was in this trade show here, Cole, and it's amazing how much of that technology exists today. They might not be scalable, but they are out there. So with some support, I think we can make it a bigger difference.
And so well said, because the technology, at least at Bloom, is there on green hydrogen, and the colors of the rainbow on hydrogen do matter. It's the market conditions that can often be positively affected by great public policy. And that's a great segue over to our Senate President, Toni Atkins.
Well, Carl, thank you. I'll just add to what Cleber said and focus on that collaborative approach. I think people are probably aware that the Senate proposal this year related to budget is a historic $18.5 billion on top of more than $15 billion last year. And that's to hit the issues that Cleber mentioned, wildfires, sea level rise, extreme heat, drought, all upon us in need really of desperate attention like yesterday. And I think I authored SB1 a year ago on sea level rise, but to the point of collaboration, it really takes us in government working with industry, with our private and public partners, as well as the community. I mean, we're all part of communities. We don't just have a workplace. We may not be in government, but again, I'm going to point to and say climate is probably the biggest existential threat to our economic viability, our livelihoods, and our health. So I'm really proud to have a role in that, to get to be part of that. And you're gonna hopefully get to the point where when we talk about inclusion, we'll just bring it all together. We have to make sure that we're being inclusive of communities that are traditionally left behind, marginalized, environmental justice issue, and some of the impacts of what we do have a real cost on communities that can least afford it. So that makes our job complicated in terms of how we try to weave it all together and create what we can to benefit as many people as we possibly can.
So well said, Senator Atkins. And it's amazing too, because as we've looked at the data, when the lights go out or when dirty sources of energy are brought in, it usually impacts first our underserved communities, who are overwhelmingly our communities of color in this state, and they're the last for the lights to come back on. And whether that's the proliferation of dirty diesel in our state or other issues that impact both greenhouse gases and air quality, your leadership has always been to do much better than that. And we thank you for it. We're going to come back to Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins first for our next question. As we continue to support and celebrate Pride Month. In the last decade, the United States has had major strides in recognizing that LGBTQ+ rights are human rights, but we still have a long way to go before we can successfully end discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. What do you hope to see happen in this next decade to move us closer towards achieving these goals? And how do you think this relates to the broader effort to safeguard and expand basic rights for all people? And again, we're going to start with Senate President Atkins.
Well, thank you. And I will say, in light of what's going on in our country right now, it's a really important question. And this is a really important dialogue. The best ways to increase our participation, our rights, LGBTQ+, is that we have to be at the table and in the room. Yes. And there's no substitute for that. Our allies have helped us get to the point where we have basic rights, but it really takes true representation, and not just for the LGBTQ community, but for communities of color and diversity of people and life experiences, lived experiences. You know, I remain part of an organization called Victory Fund, which is a political organization that's geared towards getting and supporting electing viable and qualified LGBTQ+ candidates. it's bipartisan, or, but the point is to get qualified people elected. We had a rainbow wave, if you will, in 2018 and 2020, specifically gains across the country for trans elected officials. But what we're seeing right now with the rights being curbed state by state, you see we are poised to address and see the opinion of Roe versus Wade, which is based in the right to privacy. And that is a civil rights issue, I think, personally, for women and in this country, 50 years of that right. But the underpinning of that opinion gets to the right to privacy, which deals with a whole host of other issues. Gay marriage, the ability for interracial couples to get married. So if you look at that opinion, you need to look at it deeper than just for women's access. And lastly, I would say what we're seeing across the country, which is really relevant to getting people elected to represent us in government, at least, we need it everywhere. Thank you for talking about equity and inclusion, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because the way to do that is to make sure that we're not undoing voter accessibility across this country. The easier you make it for communities to participate in the democratic process, that's why we see the fight to roll back voter rights in states. So that's a lot, and I could probably say more, but I need to cede the floor to Cleber to add to this conversation.
Thank you. Cleber?
Thank you, Senator. I really echo everything the Senator just said, because I think the next 10 years, the acceptance and having whole models, right, in those positions, and that seat at the table that Senator just mentioned is important, because then you bring a different perspective to the conversations. So the results are richer, right? So it's important to keep the rights moving in the right direction, not only for the gay community, but for everyone, every community in the country that is underrepresented, right? So today, I think that is part of our goal and objective is like, let's elect people that are really can represent us in all these spheres, all the minorities, and that everybody has a voice and can be heard, right? So I think it's a fantastic, I cannot say better than the Senator just did.
Such wisdom in both of your remarks. Thank you. We're going to move on to our next question in segment one. Senator Atkins, you've been serving as Senate President since 2018, as Manal mentioned in the introduction. Cleber, you joined Bloom Energy as Senior Director of Product Management of our hydrogen and carbon capture solutions earlier this year. What is a valuable insight that you have gained from your current position? Cleber, we're going to start with you.
I think, Carl, the insight that I got from my current position is very personal to me, to be part of a company that the mission, the value is really to decarbonize, to really help to save lives, to curb the climate change. It makes my work meaningful, right? And I think for all the Bloom employees that are online, I think that means something to us. So when we get together, when we have tough discussions about our products, what we do in day to day, but there is a bigger mission, right, behind what we do every day at Bloom. So for me, it has been a fantastic experience to be part of that. So I'm very proud for what we do at Bloom.
Excellent. So staying mission-driven with the role. Senator Atkins?
Well, thank you. I think in terms of leadership positions, first as a speaker in the assembly and now as the president pro tem, and as we talk about Pride Month, I would say authenticity matters. That in terms of what I've learned, being who you are. I like to tell people what I do is because of who I am and my experience growing up. I grew up in substandard housing, a house with no running water. I had hardworking parents who didn't have access to health care. I worked in a women's clinic that provided reproductive health services. I came out at age 18 in Appalachia as an LGBTQ person. So we all have those kinds of stories, all of us, all of the people on this call, everyone has a story. And they power the work that we do, our priorities, and our politics. And those stories become really powerful when we utilize them to make and build connections with each other across communities. And that's the interconnectedness. And that's what we need even more today in the chaos and the polarization. We need to keep that focus in mind so that we can be successful for ourselves, our families, and our communities.
Thank you so much for those powerful remarks. My last question in this segment to our two guests, we will start with Senate President Toni Atkins. As the state government and private companies like Bloom take ambitious plans to address climate change and air quality, we need to be aware of ensuring a just transition. What are some of the areas in which you think it's critical to keep in mind climate equity, and how do you think policymakers, corporate and community leaders should approach these fields? Again, first, Senate Pro Tem Atkins.
That's a really important question. And, you know, I just talked about my parents and growing up and not having access, being one of those marginalized communities of working poor people. You know, I saw damage done by coal mining in Appalachia, in our mountains, to the people who lived in the surrounding communities, to their water, mountain topping. I heard the same promises that they did about not being left behind by the next big economic or environmental policy to bring it home. So I've always believed that if you're going to make promises, you better deliver the goods and keep those promises. So as we engage in moving forward on climate goals, I think we have to think about the impact on communities, on marginalized communities, communities of color. And we need to realize there, I said earlier, there's a cost to this for us to advance these policies and these goals. And those costs are inordinately borne on poor people in marginalized, environmentally degraded communities. And so as we deal with the policies and how we implement them, we got to remember that. We got to, I mean, when we talk about the climate conference, COP25, COP26, I came really up close and personal talking to people from Nigeria, from other countries, where we're expecting them to try to meet the same goals we are. And yet they're not even off of coal as a use of an energy source to cook. So when we have expectations of communities, we need to meet them where they are and figure out how to help those goals. So leave no one behind has particular meaning for me personally, and it's how I approach our goals here in California. I don't forget Central Valley. I don't forget agricultural communities. I don't forget what it's going to take to transition from fuel burning cars to ZEVs or hydrogen fuel or any of those things. There's a cost to it. So another topic I could go on and on and on about, but I won't.
That was excellent. Cleber, your perspective?
Thank you, Carl. I think that this is a very important point. I think we all share the planet, right? And unfortunately, climate change has a greater impact. We need to recognize a great impact on disadvantaged communities. They take way longer to recover. When you look here to Houston after the floodings, the disadvantaged communities take forever to recover. So it's not only the housing, but it's the houses, the transportation, the access to the hospitals, right? The rebuilding of those communities, it's really difficult, right? So we need to have that conversation and start thinking about when we start putting actions to mitigate, right, those, to mitigate the climate change. We also need to think about the equity of the benefits for those mitigations, to be a just distribution of the outcomes of that conversation, right? So I think it's a very important thing that we need to do, think about how we can do this in a more equitable way. And then, as the senator mentioned, that is the difference between countries, right? The rich countries and the poor countries, how we do this in a global scale with some equity in the equation, right? So it's a big question.
And I'm so glad you mentioned your home city of Houston. And I'll be meeting with Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner tomorrow. But one of his big takeaways that he shared with me after the February freeze in Texas in 2020, he actually changed his Office of Sustainability to the Office of Sustainability and Resilience, so that people, especially in our underserved communities in his city and around our country and globe, are not left literally in the dark and in the cold when we have challenges. So that linkage that he drew, the power of "and" that our CEO, K.R. Schroeder, so often speaks about, is so relevant to me. We're going to move to segment 2. And again, that's our lightning round of 8 quick questions. I want to mention to our Bloom Energy colleagues, please start loading your questions for Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins into our chat box, as well as our colleague Cleber Angelo, so that we can get to as many of those as possible. Please start putting those in now. And I want to remind our colleagues, especially as we still endure 27 months of this global pandemic, we are going to support and celebrate our frontline hospital and healthcare workers here throughout Silicon Valley and the Bay Area on Saturday morning, July 2nd, with our 2nd annual Bloom Energy Stars and Strides community run and walk in downtown San Jose. Please sign up. We have 96 Bloom Energy participants already. We'll have 2,500 people running and walking. Our goal, as audacious as this is, we want to raise and donate $350,000 for our frontline hospital workers with this one morning event alone. We can't do it without you. Please go to starsandstridesrun.com, starsandstridesrun.com, and use your all caps Inside Bloom 22 code, and we'll make sure you have a discount for your registration. On to lightning round. And if it's okay, I'm going to start with our Senate President Pro Tem, Toni Atkins, the person that most influenced your career path.
Christine Kehoe.
One sentence, who not everyone will know who Christine is as you and I do.
Christine Kehoe was the first open LGBTQ person to run for the San Diego City Council and win. And she went on to serve in the Assembly and the Senate. And in this space, in the climate space, she spent a lot of her time and energy. And she's just a great mentor, a dear friend, and still is today.
Please give her my best. She was a great colleague on the California Transportation Commission as well. Cleber Angelo, person who most influenced your career path.
My mom. So, yeah, despite of all adversities, Carl, she never gave up. So just the fact that I'm here today, talk to a senator in the US, growing up in a poor community in Brazil, and having this opportunity today, yeah, she never gave up, and yeah, she's my inspiration.
Wonderful. Cleber, coming back to you. What is your favorite outdoor activity?
Oh, Carl, I love to do sports in the park and outdoors in the morning. So I wake up every morning like 5 a.m. and go do a boot camp with a group of people in the Herman Park in Houston. It's very hot, I know, but it's a lot of fun.
Wow, well, that's smart to start at 5 a.m.
Yes.
President Atkins?
Hiking. When I can hike, I love to hike long hikes, but I walk every morning at least 3 to 4 miles. Gets the blood pumping and the energy going.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Before your day blows up, you both start early. That's smart.
Yes.
Senator Atkins, if you could attempt a profession other than your own, what would it be?
Oh, I'd be a backup country music singer, preferably to Dolly Parton.
Oh, I love it. I've never been to Dollywood, and I've always wanted to go. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Cleber Angelo, you're going to be a backup singer as well?
I know that I'm going to regret this later, Carl, but I would be a dancer. Perhaps we could do a band. I'm going to be the backup dancer for the senator.
I love it. We can sing and dance. I love it. Cleber, back to you. The best gift you have ever received?
The opportunity and the honor to become a U.S. citizen. So that's the best gift I ever got, Carl.
Forgive me, I have goosebumps. Thank you. Toni Atkins, I hate to say it, Toni, outdo that one.
I can't. So I'm just gonna tell you, frankly, the best gift I've been given was a lobbyist in Sacramento recommended this incredible trainer to me turns out he's more than just a physical trainer. He's a personal growth coach. He keeps my attitude right. And I wish I could say what Cleber said. I applaud his answer, but mine is just going to be all about me.
I love it. Senator Atkins, the best gift you have ever given?
That's a tough one. You know, I promised my mother when she was dying of cancer, I would take care of my sister. And so I am doing that every day as best I can.
Bless you. That's wonderful. Cleber?
Yeah, for me, Carl, it was the be able to get my two siblings through college. So it was the best gift that I gave.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you both. Cleber, what is something you are looking forward to as we enter into summer?
I'm looking forward to go to see my significant other, my partner, family in Spain for the summer. So I'm looking forward to it, Carl. So it has been a while since I saw them, and it's going to be good times together.
Great country. Where in Spain?
They are based in the south of Spain, Malaga. So
Okay.
I'm looking
Okay.
forward to it.
We're gonna have to compare notes sometime. I did a month sabbatical in Spain 3 years ago. Language school every morning and then enjoying the rest of the day. Senate President Pro Tem Atkins, same question.
Oh, I wish I were going to Spain, but I'm going to Florida to spend time, however, with my brother. He's 10 years older and we don't often see each other. My brother, my sister, and Jennifer's in-laws in Florida. So we're going to get real family time. That's special.
That's great. Thank you. And your first paying job, and if you remember, how much did it pay an hour? Senator Atkins?
Well, my first real paying job was babysitting. And I don't even know I made a per hour wage, but, a little money in the pocket, but babysitting. And then I went on to do a million other jobs, but that was it.
Wow. Hey, we have 3 young ones if you want to go back to your roots and babysit. Cleber, how about you?
Well, Carl, I start as an apprentice of electrician for the local utility in São Paulo in Brazil. So with 16, I was climbing the poles, changing transformers and doing all of that. So that was my first paid job. Now, if you ask me the dollar amount, that'll be difficult because the inflation in Brazil, devaluation, change of currency, I will not know how much that means.
Wow. Well, let's just say it wasn't enough. I'm
It
glad
wasn't
that I'm glad that you climbed down that pole and climbed into Bloom Energy. Cleber, you get our last lightning round question. What is something that cheers you up when you're having a tough day?
Music. So that makes the deal for me. Like if I listen to music that I like, it changes my mood, my head, and it's always good.
Is it Dolly Parton and her backup singers?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not.
And Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins, what cheers you up after a tough day?
Well, I loved his answer, but I'm gonna say ahead of listening to great music is gonna be my dogs, Joey, handsome Joey, and our new COVID puppy, little Mia Ham, who is a toy poodle, chocolate. She's precious.
Mia Ham, that's a great name. I love it. Hey, we have several questions from colleagues. I'm going to get to as many as I can. We probably won't get to all of them, but thank you all. And again, join us July 2nd. Celebrate and support our hospital workers. We're going to meet in the festival area at 7 a.m. before the race at the Bloom Energy tent with our CEO, Dr. K.R. Schreeder, and then I'll walk over to the start line together for that 8 a.m. start. So sign up, starsandstridesrun.com, use the code InsideBloom22, all in caps, for that discount and join us. Let's build a better community. First question, and I want to thank Samuel Wolfenden for asking. It says, thank you so much for such valuable shares and insights. This question is for Senate President Pro Tem Atkins. For someone who has always had interest in politics and impacting change, what would be your recommendation for the first steps in getting involved in local government? Great question, Samuel. Senator Atkins?
Yeah, well, I think it depends on whether you're interested in policy or politics. And in my mind, politics is the vehicle by which I get to engage and do policy. There are those who love politics more than they love policy, and those who love policy more than politics. I would say if you want to get involved in policy, community organizations, planning committees, town councils, if you're into libraries, I mean, that's always really enjoyable. There's so many opportunities. Politics, get engaged in a campaign. And I would suggest, I support Victory Fund for a reason. It helps LGBTQ qualified people have the support. And as a woman, I've always supported Emily's List, and women tend to have less money. That's still true. And so I think it's really important to find ways to connect politically with organizations that are going to advance those goals of gender diversity, of diversity. And you can do that and still support the candidates that most meet your own values and philosophies.
Excellent. And Senator Atkins, we're going to come back to you, if you don't mind, with our Bloom Energy colleague, Matthew Wigler. Senator, what do you see as California's greatest opportunity and its greatest challenge today?
I have such a hard time saying only one challenge because we've just talked about climate. I would say our greatest challenge really is housing affordability, because if we are the 5th largest economy in the world, soon to be the 4th, potentially overtaking Germany. But if we don't have places where people can live, then it undermines everything economically. That's a challenge. Our greatest asset is our young, brilliant people who have the opportunity to go to our incredible higher education system, whether it is the UC system, the CSU system, or the community college system. California has the best educational opportunities in the world. And we have the best asset, which is our people. Our young people need to be able to go to those universities and colleges, but they also need to be able to still live here and give their talent back to the state.
Well said. I'm going to try to work in one more question, and I want to apologize to others who were in the queue. Our next question, if you are comfortable in doing so, and this is for both of you, please share a professional or a personal obstacle that you faced and how you were able to either overcome it or learn from that experience. Who'd like to go first?
Cleber, go ahead. I've taken up too much space.
Thanks, Senator. A personal obstacle for me, I would say it was the ability to communicate and still having a strong accent, Carl, when I moved to the USA, right? So to adapt to the culture, to really professionally be able to do things here. So as a foreigner, you arrive, you have the technical training, you have the technical ability. So the company select you to bring it over, but there is a period of time that is super hard in your life, because those 2 first years, you're trying to communicate, you're trying to make friends, you're trying to engage, and it's very challenging. So going through that, it's something that was difficult to overcome. So many times I thought about going back to Brazil and give up, and I persisted, and I'm here today. So, but yeah, those 2 first years here in the US was challenging.
I'm so glad you held on and stayed. Cleber, thank you for sharing that. Senate President Pro Tem Atkins.
Well, what a story, Cleber. Well, I don't know if you know, I have an accent too. I'm from Southwest Virginia. I am an Appalachian, a hillbilly, which you can't say, but I can. I think for me, being a woman in an environment where it's still more male dominated. And when I became speaker and it was, could a woman really pull the votes together? And I had some offensive comments that I heard about second and third hand about whether a woman could actually get the votes together. I also think, because I tend to want to approach things from a collaborative. I mean, I'm a twin, and I grew up playing team sports. So I always approach things as a we, as opposed to a me. I think that was an asset for me to become the speaker. People knew I would look out for them. But I also think it was a disadvantage. People think I'm too nice. And I don't know if that's because I'm a woman and they assume that I'm not going to be tough. Maybe I'm just going to do it a different way. But I think the biggest challenge is people really underestimate my abilities. It took me a while to trust in myself and know that I had those abilities. I had to overcome that in order to say to other people that for women, we typically get overlooked. We typically get underestimated and marginalized. Add if you're a person of color to that, even more. So I think those are still challenges for me despite everything else.
My thanks to you both for being transparent and vulnerable on those lessons and learnings that we can all relate to in one way or another. We love to end our Bloom Energy Empowered Community Employee Town Halls by asking 2 Bloom Energy employees to join us at the end, share for about 30 seconds. What was the nugget, the takeaway that you are going to take from today's session? And we have 2 members of our Bloom Energy team. We're going to start with 30 seconds from Soraya Johnson. Soraya, thanks for joining us. What was your takeaway today?
Yeah, thanks so much, Carl, for inviting Trinidad and me to give some closing remarks regarding today's Empowered Community event. I'd also like to extend an additional thank you to our 2 guest speakers, Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins and our Senior Director of Public Management, Cleber Angelo. As an ally of the LGBT community, I think it's important for us to continue to be active and vocal during our sentiments, not only during Pride Month, but the 11 other months of the year as well. Of course, it also starts with us having those important conversations like we've done so today. I think my one nugget would be being represented in the workplace and having that level of acceptance is super important as it affects people doing their jobs. So super glad that Bloom was able to coordinate this event and have our guest speakers touch on LGBTQ allyship. Whether it be big or small, these steps that we're taking just bring us that much closer to addressing climate change and other issues that affect us day to day. So I'd like to keep talking, but I'd love to hear from Trinidad.
Soraya, thank you. Trinidad Sanchez, thanks for joining us today. Your nugget, your takeaway today?
Right on. First off, I just want to say good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Carl, and the policy team for inviting me to share some key takeaways from this amazing event. As we celebrate Pride, it is important as stakeholders, family, friends, and community members that we not only recognize but partake in these conversations. As someone who identifies within the community, it is important to ensure that we have a safe place for people to be themselves. Because without having that sense of safety, it could be challenging for someone to feel welcomed. And having that space will allow others to thrive in their future endeavors, which in turn builds a better tomorrow. My main takeaway from this event was making sure that we continue to be in the room and vocal in order to keep these rights and continue to fight for equity for all. And with that being said, thank you, President Pro Tem and Cleber Angelo, for spending your time today with us here at Bloom Energy and the hard work you continue to do.
Trinidad Soraya, thank you for joining us. Senate President Pro Tem Toni Atkins, I'm going to just be unabashed. I've been a fan of yours for so long. Thank you for your leadership for San Diego, for our state. It means a great deal to me personally, and certainly in my role at Bloom Energy. Cleber, it's just a delight to partner with you to try to create a world with clean, resilient, affordable energy. Thanks for all that you do. To all of our colleagues, thanks for joining us for our Bloom Energy Empowered Communities Employee Town Hall. Now let's all get back to work and make our world a better place. Thank you.